producer, arranger, conductor, ticket taker, projectionist. No. My friend Ernst Jorgensen, who worked on the new 50th anniversary. Ernst Jorgensen. Wow. That's some great walkout music. Oh, look at this. Oh, I remember the day I bought this in 1974 with that little...
Oh, you weren't born then.
Oh, yes, I was born then. Me and my family and my kids went to the record store and picked it up, and then I went to pick my son up at high school. First of all, I find it interesting because I did start doing some research when this anniversary approached. Before we start talking about the music of what you did from the tapes, take us through the timeline. I mean, the concert happens in January, and the album came out pretty quickly.
Well, it came out as a worldwide release within weeks, also in America, but obviously without the support of the TV special America that wasn't shown until April, it had a more precise impact around the world because, you know, you saw the TV show and it was there 2 weeks later or 3 weeks, whatever it was. So that was a rush release, but RCA already knew how to do that because they'd done the same thing with Madison Square Garden.
Exactly.
Where the idea was to get Square Garden out before the bootleggers got it. But the other thing about Aloha is, I mean, you could look at it in isolation. To me, it's maybe the ultimate triumph of Elvis's career. If you go back to '68, Live a Little, Love a Little flops. A Little Less Conversation get to 70 on the charts. It was an absolute low point. And from then on, 68 TV special, Memphis 69, Live in Las Vegas, That's the Way It Is in 70, 4 sold-out concerts in Madison Square Garden in 72, and Elvis on tour, and then this.
Yeah, that's right. And though there has been the legend, and obviously part of the legend is true, the legend that it didn't air, the Aloha did not air in America on that Sunday night because of the Super Bowl. In fact, Elvis on Tour was still in the theaters, and they kind of didn't want both of those like out at the same time. So one of the things that a lot of us don't remember is that TV special in America didn't come to television until April. So I was listening to this months in advance of that. Now, you talked about how quickly they got Madison Square out, but how quickly they got this out. That was kind of the
first week of February.
So less than 2 weeks almost later it's out. That was their version of streaming, because that's about as fast as you can press vinyl from tapes. Tell me what the process was with how they worked on the music that quickly to mix.
Well, but it will actually spill into where we're going to end this story, in that they recorded it over 2 nights, and then, you know, they took the tapes to Los Angeles, and they mixed the album in 1 day, January 24th. They had made the sleeves without any titles on it, so it was they were ready and only had to put a sticker on it with the titles when it came out. So they didn't have to wait to know the track listing, because Elvis was notorious for not giving away track lists. So that's what they did. Actually, they did that with Stuck on You back in 1960, where they made the single sleeve with a hole in the middle, so they didn't have to print anything other than 50 million Elvis fans can't be wrong, and then you could look at the title because there was a hole in the center.
Yeah, that was back in the time RCA literally would book all the pressing plants and say, we're just waiting on the tapes to press, so we're ready to go to get it out. And the thing about this is, didn't know this until we saw the special, that's not from, that photo was not from Aloha, because they had already printed those. They printed the sleeves already. So all they were waiting on was the vinyl to put in everything and get it out in stores. So a 1 day mix. What did they drop the ball on with 1 day?
Well, this is subjective, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
But I remember when I saw the TV show and I bought the record, I loved it, of course, because I was nuts with Elvis. But there was something close, a little narrow, a little less glamorous, a little less grandioso on the sound of that and on the TV special. And I thought nothing of, I actually thought in my head, oh, it's been difficult circumstances to put up the mics in that showroom in Hawaii. But I got lucky. I met a guy from Memphis, Matt Ross Spang.
Yes.
And see,
You
Matt,
mean the Grammy Award-winning producer?
no, I met that nice guy.
Oh.
But he's making, you know, all kinds of modern records that you and I may or may not like and all that. But he's an exceptional mixer. And when I came to him with Aloha from Hawaii, it was a little bit like, oh, come on, you can't ask me to do this. But I did. And we've done quite a few things with him recently. And he's really exceptional at picking out the right things to emphasize and the other things to tone down a little bit. It's so little detail that most of us wouldn't recognize it if we just saw him do it. But when you get to the final result, you suddenly have, as he would always say, I start with Elvis's voice. I have one thing that's more important than anything. I want my hero, Elvis Presley, to sound as good as he can. The thing here is that his voice sounds so much better on this new 3 CD, one Blu-ray release we've done, that it's almost like hearing the whole thing from start again. And he builds it up so instead of spending one day mixing the entire album, he spends 1 month mixing the stuff.
Yeah.
And then obviously with new technology, a man with better ears, and then this kind of attention to it, you can do better.
Yeah.
And he has done so much better. So if you have Aloha from Hawaii at home, you should seriously consider, if you don't want to hear it, sounding much, much better.
Here's an example. We've got the song Something that you sent us.
Yep.
What should we listen for as we listen to this? What did you guys do? What did Matt do to this for us to listen for?
It's got to be different from each person, but the first thing that I obviously concentrate on is whether when this guy says he's going to take care of Elvis's voice, I'm his boss, so I'm going to tell him whether he succeeded.
Yeah.
And he did. But then, you know, when you hear the arrangement here on big speakers, listen for the little details, piano riffs, strings, all of these little details that when you have it on a so-called multi-track tape with 16 different pieces on it, you can obviously turn something up, turn it down, make it lighter, make it brighter, echo on it. You can do a million things. And this is what a brilliant engineer does. He takes care of the little detail. It's not the piano all the way through that he cares about. It's the little detail where it lifts the arrangement of the song. And this is what I really want to leave you with. This is something that, it's called something, that really shows not only Matt Ross Spang as the engineer, but also how good that original show was and how great Elvis was in January of 1973.
Take a listen. Something from Aloha from Hawaii.